Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're going on this incredible animated journey following a single drop of water as it totally transforms right before our very eyes. We'll be unlocking the secrets of how water behaves, how it literally shapes our weather, and even how we can use it to cool down on a scorching summer day. So get ready, because by the end of this, you are going to be a true water expert. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the 3 states of water, changing states on command, speeding up evaporation, the really cool pot-in-pot cooling effect, clouds in the water cycle, and we'll wrap the whole thing up with a final revision and quiz to test all your new knowledge. All right, Section 1, the 3 states of water. Let's put on our scientific detective hats today by observing exactly how water behaves in our daily lives.
You know, water is basically a magical substance. Why? Because it naturally exists in exactly 3 different states around us. You've probably interacted with all 3 of them today without even realizing it. Those states are solid, liquid, and gas. Let's look at how these 3 states behave differently from one another. If we observe them really closely, ice, which is our solid state, keeps a fixed, rigid shape. It doesn't flow at all. Liquid water, on the other hand, flows freely and takes the exact shape of whatever container you pour it into. And then there's water vapor, the gaseous state. Gases are fascinating because they don't have a fixed shape or volume. They just spread out invisibly to fill up all the available space. I want you to take a quick look around your room right now. What are some other examples of solids, liquids, and gases? Think about it for a second. The stones outside, or the wood of your desk, those are solids. The milk you drink and the cooking oil in your kitchen, liquids. And here's a really fun one. Have you ever noticed how you can smell yummy food cooking from a completely different room? Well, that delicious smell actually reaches your nose because the scent travels through the air as a gas.
Moving right along to Section 2, changing states on command. What's super interesting here is how we can actually force water to change its disguise on command, simply by adding or removing heat. Let's define 2 very important scientific keywords. Melting is the process where a solid turns into a liquid, and freezing is the exact opposite, a liquid turning into a solid. Just think of a candle. Heating solid wax melts it into a liquid, and cooling it hardens it right back into a solid. Well, water does the exact same thing. Solid ice melts into liquid water when heated, and liquid water freezes back into ice when it's placed in a super cold environment, like your freezer. By mapping out this loop, we can see the entire life cycle of water's transformations. Melting and evaporating require heat to happen, while condensing and freezing require cooling. Understanding this loop is actually incredibly powerful. In fact, scientists use these exact steps to build machines called atmospheric water generators. These amazing devices collect invisible water vapor from humid air, cool it down until it condenses, and literally produce clean, drinkable liquid water right out of thin air. Let's jump into Section 3, speeding up evaporation. The crucial point here is that liquid water evaporates into an invisible gas called water vapor. But let's figure out together how we can make that happen much faster. Our scientific investigations prove that evaporation isn't always the same speed. It depends on a few specific conditions. For instance, water evaporates significantly faster when it's spread out over a larger area, like on a wide plate, rather than trapped in a tiny bottle cap. It also evaporates faster when left in hot sunlight, or when exposed to moving air on a windy day. Conversely, it evaporates very slowly if it's hidden in the shade, or on a wet, rainy day. And that brings us to another massive vocabulary word: humidity. Humidity is simply the amount of water vapor already present in the air around us. On a rainy day, your wet clothes dry super slowly because the air is already totally full of moisture. It's that muggy, sticky condition we call high humidity. Basically, the air just doesn't have room to take in any more water vapor quickly. Section 4, the pot-in-pot cooling effect. Okay, let's dive into this amazing real-world application of evaporation, creating an electricity-free refrigerator. This is a brilliant invention called a pot-in-pot cooler. Here's how you build it. You place a smaller earthen clay pot inside a larger one and fill the gap between them with sand. Then you pour water into that sand and cover the top with a wet jute sack. As the water slowly seeps out through the outer clay pot, it evaporates. And here's the absolute magic of it. Evaporation requires heat, so it actually pulls heat away from the inner pot. This keeps the vegetables and fruits stored inside perfectly fresh and wonderfully cold, all without using a single drop of electricity.
This brilliantly illustrates a universal rule that you should definitely remember. Evaporation always causes a cooling effect. Think about it in your own daily life. Why does a ceiling fan cool your sweaty skin? It speeds up the evaporation of your sweat, which literally pulls heat away from your body. Why does hand sanitizer make your hands feel freezing cold? Because it evaporates incredibly fast. We even see this when drinking naturally chilled water from a clay matka, or when people sprinkle water on a hot roof during the summer to cool their house down.
Section 5. Clouds and the water cycle. For our next section, we're going to follow our invisible water vapor high up into the sky to see how it returns to Earth to nourish plants, animals, and, well, us.
Have you ever wondered how clouds actually form? We can simulate this with a super simple classroom experiment using just a plastic bottle. If you put a little water in a bottle, add some smoke or tiny dust particles from burnt paper, and then squeeze and release the bottle, you change the pressure inside. This makes the water vapor condense around those tiny invisible dust particles, instantly forming a hazy mini cloud right inside the bottle. In nature, as lighter water vapor rises high into the atmosphere, it hits cooler air and condenses into tiny droplets around floating dust, gathering together to form the massive, fluffy clouds we see above us. That process right there is called condensation, the conversion of water vapor back into its liquid state. When those floating cloud droplets join together and get too heavy, they fall out of the sky as rain, hail, or snow. This is the Earth's natural plumbing system in action, and it's entirely powered by the magic of condensation.
Let's see how all of this builds into an endless loop called the water cycle. Water continuously evaporates from the oceans and land, it rises up and condenses into clouds, and then rains right back down to the Earth. That rain then fills our lakes, flows via rivers, recharges our groundwater, and ultimately makes its way back to the ocean, only to start the whole incredible journey all over again.
And finally, Section 6, Final Revision and Quiz. We have successfully tracked the amazing journey of water. Now let's lock in everything we've learned today with our classic interactive classroom quiz. So get your thinking caps on.
To quickly recap our main clues before the quiz, water comes in solid, liquid, and gas forms. Heating drives both evaporation and melting. Cooling drives condensation and freezing. Remember that pot and pot cooler? Evaporation is nature's ultimate cooling mechanism. And finally, humidity is simply the amount of moisture packed into the air.
All right, think fast. Here are 2 questions straight from your textbook exercises. Question 1, how would you accurately define condensation based on what we just learned? And question 2, which art supply relies completely on the process of evaporation to work properly? Watercolors or wax crayons?
Okay, let's check your answers. If you said that condensation is the conversion of water vapor back into a liquid, you are totally spot on. And for question 2, evaporation is absolutely crucial for watercolors. When you paint, the liquid water must evaporate into the air, leaving only the beautiful, bright, dry pigment behind on your paper. Crayons are just solid wax, so they don't need evaporation at all. Let's apply our knowledge to our textbook's hardest, most practical questions. First, how does room temperature moving air from a fan actually chill us? And second, imagine a black two-wheeler seat parked outside in the scorching summer sun. How can we rescue that incredibly hot seat using science?
Here are the answers. The fan cools us because the moving air speeds up the evaporation of our sweat, pulling heat away from our bodies. To cool that scorching bike seat, you can just wipe it with a damp cloth. The thin layer of water will evaporate rapidly in the heat, instantly drawing the heat right out of the seat. So you are officially a master of the states of water. But remember, even though the water cycle is endless, only a tiny, precious portion of Earth's water is clean and fit for human use. As our population grows, water becomes more and more scarce. So my final question to you is, how will you use your new knowledge to protect and conserve this vital resource today? Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.